What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be reacting to something a little more topical. We're going to be reacting to Superkick Studios' Edge versus John Cena, the greatest rivalry ever, question mark. Now for me personally, my favorite rivalry of all time is, or at least I don't know about all time. We're not going to say all time, but my favorite rivalry for John Cena is him versus CM Punk, and mainly just because I just missed Edge. I started watching in 2011, 2010, 2011, around that era. So it's just, part of the times. Either way, though, a little bit more topical with John Cena's retirement tour coming to an end. John Cena's retirement, his career coming to an end. We're going to be reacting to who he should be facing in his retirement match. He's not. But either way, before we get started, make sure you go down below. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Put down in the comments other videos you guys want to watch me react to. You can also be part of the live reactions over on Twitch at PowerbombInc. You guys can be part of future polls in the future for future video games that we play, future whatever, over on Instagram at PowerbombInc once again. But either way, let's lock in.
Every so often, two guys come around that define each other's legacies. Men so important to each other's career that their story seems unfathomable without the other. In the gritty days of the Ruthless Aggression era, this was Edge and John Cena. And let me tell you, these two did quite literally everything to each other. From mental manipulation, insane spots, the ultimate tale of resolve meets exploitation, and a willingness to destroy the other man.
I think with Edge versus Cena, I think it was definitely more of a blood feud. I think it was a lot closer and it defined for sure than CM Punk versus Cena. I think the reason, like I said, the reason why I personally think CM Punk versus John Cena is better isn't because of the rivalry. I think John Cena and Punk, I think Punk was on the comeuppance, and it was more of a time and a place thing. With Punk mainly being the anchor for it. So if you think CM Punk versus Cena is the best Cena rivalry, then I think it's fine. But I think the rivalry is more so about Punk and him. It's Punk's arc. It's not a Cena rivalry. It is, but it's not at the same time. It's more focused on CM Punk. While Cena versus Edge, I think it was like Superman, Lex Luthor. I think it was like perfect villain, Batman and Joker. You know what I mean? I think it connected. I think it clicked a bit more. Just going back and watching some things, and I think it's for sure more of a blood feud. But yeah.
Against his ultimate foil, and everything came together to create a brilliant masterpiece.
Yeah.
April 3rd, 2005 is not only one of the most important nights in the WWE, but the defining show for an entire cast of legendary characters. Under the Hollywood lights, brand new stars were cemented that would be the foundation of WWE for the next decade. Batista winning the World Heavyweight Championship, and upstart Randy Orton giving The Undertaker a run for his money, Edge winning the Money in the Bank, and the face of the company winning his first WWE Championship.
So this was like 05, right?
The following year and the first pay-per-view of 2006, we come to New Year's Revolution. After being beat into a bloody pulp and hanging on to his WWE Championship by the skin of his teeth after an Elimination Chamber match, John Cena was struggling to get to his feet. Just then, out came Vince McMahon, and as he stood at the top of the ramp, he announced that Edge would be cashing in his contract. Out came the ultimate opportunist to live true to his tagline, cashing in the Money in the Bank.
It definitely had a good kickstart, just based off the moment alone,
how significant this
as the first Money in the Bank cash in.
Aside from it being the kickoff to the Edge and John Cena rivalry, it was the introduction to a brand new concept. And the way in which they executed it hit the spot. It laid the groundwork for years to come. If they didn't execute it properly, if the moment is different, if executed under a different circumstance, maybe the concept fizzles out very quickly. The following night, the Rated R Superstar wanted Raw to be rated R.
Had Edges not been...
he'd be bringing a whole new meaning to Wrestling Ring. He announced a live celebration to end Raw. And if you know the company's history, you know what happened here pretty well. I don't know what I'm gonna do here because of YouTube.
I didn't realize.
All these years later, stop and think how mind-boggling it is that something like this happened on live television broadcast. Think about when you were a kid. How did you feel?
Different
times,
how did others
around you react when this celebration happened? Before we got to the end of the night, John Cena demanded his rematch for the WWE title, but out came Edge's girlfriend Lita. Now, I want to give a huge shout out to Lita because while putting this video together, you see John Cena verbally annihilate Lita any chance he gets. The thick skin you need in order to take some of these verbal rippings is something that very few have the guts to endure, especially after the whole
For
debacle
sure.
between Matt, Edge, and Lita a year beforehand. John Cena throughout this rivalry made some insane jokes at Lita's expense, calling her various types of diseases, a prostitute, you name it.
Oh, hey, hold up there, one woman hooker parade.
In this case, he told her that some people in
Gotcha.
the arena think he sucks, but everyone knows that.
This was like also, I think it was before Cena. Maybe it was around the same time. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm a little hazy when it comes to before 2000, like 10, 11. But I think this was before the time that Cena was fully starting to get hate. I think this was like in the mix between Super Cena, which I know he was kind of Super Cena, but yeah, like Fruity Pebble Cena, right? We'll go Fruity Pebble Cena and Thugonomics. So this was like kind of the middle ground where Cena was becoming the guy, and yeah. So I think a lot of these, and I think with Edge, do we think Cena is where he is without a good villains? Like where is Superman without Lex Luthor, or his line of villains, or where's Batman without the Joker? I think Cena is as great as he is because of the rivalries he's had, and I think not necessarily that Cena is not necessarily Cena takes a back seat, but I also think that with him versus Edge, it was them both. I think they were on even ground. I think it was more so Cena trying to find his footing in the main event scene. I also think that with that though, like CM Punk, it was the tale of Punk with The Rock. It was like Cena kind of defending the full timers and all that. And I think Cena does really well when it comes to just kind of taking a back seat for some of these things and knowing when to hit his cues and when to just ramp it up a bit.
She does. With Lita then telling Cena that the match was not going to happen tonight, it was going to happen at the Royal Rumble, and that Edge would last longer than 2 minutes in bed to end the night because John Cena lost in less than that time. Lita has revealed that she didn't want to be involved in this segment, saying that Edge,
That
John
makes
Cena,
sense,
and a
though.
lot of the crew members tried to stop this segment, but Vince liked it and went ahead with it anyways. Edge has also retroactively said that he didn't want to do it. This in
In
turn became the
retrospective.
highest rated Raw segment in a year, pulling in a 5.2, so Edge started calling himself the most watched WWE champion in years. The following week,
Gotcha.
Edge asked Lita to finish what was started last week, and out came Kurt Angle, who had just won the world title on SmackDown. The next man, look at Flair. Edge retained the title and for good measure was going to
Okay.
destroy Flair just a
Okay.
little
Was
bit
that?
more.
I
Out
think
came
that
Cena
was
to make the
when.
save. Now
That's like
we're
the
just a few
infamous
days out of the
Flair
Royal
bleeding,
Rumble,
or was this
but
just like one
Edge
of the
made
many?
one thing very clear to everyone. He was not a transitional champion. But before that, John Cena wanted to destroy Lita once again. This time after seeing one of Edge's rated R trailers telling everyone that he wants to give people a preview of the bootleg copy that he received, that this movie was a classic with a classic tale. Boy meets Ho. This, of course, a depiction of, in John Cena's
Gotcha.
eyes, the rise and fall of Edge, which culminates at the Royal Rumble. How Edge was going to have it all and it would all come crumbling down. Talking about how now she was half Navajo. And to end things
Gotcha.
off, he fell in love with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. This ripping of poor Lita ends with her having a slight rebuttal where she tells John Cena to go play with himself, and then Cena, pre-fine speech era, says it's really good to see something of substance coming out of her mouth. On the Go Home Royal Rumble show, both men were
Gotcha.
to choose a tag team partner to face off come the end of the night. Edge was such a sleazeball that he was pawning off his own girlfriend to get someone to tag with him. Eventually, I remember more for John Cena's Killer Starship entrance than I do what actually
Whoa.
happened in it. Why did
I
he
don't
need to
think I
be this
remember
extra? I don't
ever
know.
seeing
The
that.
two had better matches down the line. Edge lost the WWE title after just 3 weeks, with Cena taking home the gold. Edge was told that this would only be a 3 week thing, but he made the best out of this 3 week stretch. I feel like this almost made sense. Edge cashed in an opportunity. He wasn't supposed to be champion. This time, with Cena having a fair shot, of course he was going to win it back. Edge the following
Yeah.
night became consumed by the fact that maybe, just maybe, he was in fact a transitional champion. The night saw Edge get a rematch where Lita had a stroke of genius, thinking that if Edge loses the rematch, he'd get another match, so she blasts Edge with the title, and we were headed towards yet another match between these two. This time a mixed tag team
Gotcha.
match, with the winner choosing the special guest referee
Gotcha.
for their
Okay.
next fight. And this match was pure comedy as Lita and
So
Edge took on
that's
John Cena
certainly a
and
way
Maria.
to
The
get
finish
from
came when Lita
point A to point
realized
B.
that John Cena was the legal competitor, and to get out of this sticky situation, she tried to flash John Cena, but from behind, Edge speared Lita and Maria made the cover.
So this is
Big
different
match,
times
John
for sure.
chose the King
It's
of
like
Hardcore Mick
06.
Foley as the referee. This splintered both guys off into their WrestleMania 22 matches, Foley taking on Edge and John Cena clashing with Triple H. Both guys came out victorious, and the night after WrestleMania, both Edge and Triple H wanted a piece of John Cena. This, over the coming weeks, became some variation of a handicap match, with all three competitors faking out the others and picking up a win heading into Backlash, where Cena retained the championship. But where do we go next in this saga? ECW One Night Stand. Rob Van Dam announced that he was going to cash in at the place where he was most comfortable, a place where he was the man. He wanted the
Gotcha.
WWE title match on his home turf.
What a
You don't
stretch
need
of
me to tell you the
Money in the Bank
energy
cash
and
ins then.
venomous hatred that was spewed towards John Cena.
That
Every
was
YouTuber under
06,
the
so
sun has
yeah.
talked about how rabid this
Go on.
crowd was. In the ending state,
I got a question for the people on YouTube. Put down in the comments who you guys think had the best Money in the Bank cash in. Money in the Bank cash in, because at the start of it, I mean, I don't know if this rivalry would be looked at as important as, or the Money in the Bank briefcase in general would have been as important if everything not kind of collided here. Cena and Edge kind of being kickstarting a really good feud. And then also Edge, just kind of out of nowhere after Cena was beaten to a bloody pulp. And now, right after RVD, another very memorable Money in the Bank holder. I think, who do you guys think is the best or had the best cash in? Because there's the Edge one. There's also Seth Rollins. There's Dolph Ziggler. My personal favorite, I probably have to go Ziggler just because of the moment and the time. But I also think that Seth Rollins has a case for two, as well as Edge and RVD even.
As Edge rocked up in a motorcycle helmet to spear John Cena, RVD, with Paul Heyman's assist, became the new WWE champion. He defended this at Vengeance against Edge. The following night on Raw, John Cena was granted his rematch for the title, the night where Edge walked out of Raw telling everyone that if he didn't get his title match, he was done, only to show up at the end of the night and cost John Cena the match when it looked like RVD was about to tap. Eventually, the championship came back to Edge, who won a triple threat match between the three on Raw, a match that was rushed because of RVD getting caught with weed. Then we come to the summer of 2006,
Gotcha.
or as we could say, the summer where Edge and John Cena stamped this rivalry as an all-time great. With Edge now being the WWE champion, a rematch was set for Saturday night's main event, with the crazy couple scouting their opponent, custom announce table and all, and John Cena lunged at Edge, with him going on to leave the leader of the chain gang laying with a spear, going on to tell the crowd that he's taking Lita to his hotel room because he'd rather be anywhere than here. This is the story of the night on Raw, the couple's night away from the show.
Edge, calm
First,
down,
Edge bullies
dude.
the
Yo.
clerk at the desk, and after an arduous wait, their room is finally ready. And naturally, being the WWE champion, making the big bucks, you'd want to order some room service. Once it finally arrives, Edge is in quite the mood, so he tells the worker that he's got exactly 3 minutes to deliver him champagne. But the next time Edge hears a knock on the door, surprise, surprise, it's John Cena, who shows up
Okay.
and leaves Edge laying. He throws him left, right, and center, leaving this hotel room a mangled mess and stuffing his opponent
This is also
with
another
some
thing that
protein
they don't
on
really
the way
talk
out
about
too.
looking
One of
back
the
on
hidden
it.
geniuses behind this rivalry
Seeing it,
is
attacking
the
them
shifts
in
in scenery, getting away from the Raw set and doing things that are at various different locations that go on to stick in your head. Not everything was contained to a WWE environment. John Cena won by DQ on Saturday night's main event because Lita pulled the ref out of the ring.
I mean, Saturday night's main event. This could have been kind of a full circle moment had they gotten Edge. I think that would have been really cool. But I mean, it is what it is. It looks like we're gonna Gunther. It looks like it. I'd be happy with an LA Knight. I'm very surprised they actually gave LA Knight the win over Jey Uso. Very happy about that. I'm not gonna complain, but it's probably still gonna be Gunther.
This exchange
Which I think objectively would be a better match anyhow.
By planting Edge into the announce table with an FU off the steps, so nothing was solved. Next chapter, the peak. SummerSlam 2006. Matt Striker went on to tell John Cena about his mathematical equations and how it was proven that Edge was greater than John Cena. So John Cena instead gave us another edition of Let Me Rip Lita for absolutely no reason.
John Cena crushed Edge through that announce table because his 2-bit boomed up skank job of a whole Lita.
And then out comes the most horrifying sight as a kid. This guy. Umaga puts Cena through the chalkboard and we get an impromptu match where Umaga picks up the win. When putting these together, I really love going back and watching every little part of the rivalry and in a way telling you something that sticks out. And in this, what's really brilliant is how they escalate their hatred. Let me explain this real quick. In today's day and age, guys get so caught up in doing the work shoot stuff, going way too inside baseball to get a crowd reaction or convey this feeling of animosity or personal hatred that might not be there. These two didn't really need to resort to any of the, hey, this is your actual name, and remember 4 years ago when you did this? Slowly but surely, they let what they were doing to each other tell the story. These two didn't need to resort to any of that. They were flat out vicious to each other and held nothing back. John Cena wasn't really caught in the trap of all the babyface tendencies that later became commonplace, and Edge just had this way of speaking that made you hate his guts. His actions week to week were despicable. It was confirmed that Edge in John Cena's home state would defend his championship. If Edge was disqualified, he'd lose the title. Fed up with the disrespect, out came Edge to interrupt the match between Trish Stratus and Mickie James, going on a diatribe about how he was sick of being held back, sick of dealing with so much crap from everyone in the company. First, he tells us that he's really annoyed that he's not on the SummerSlam poster and hates that John Cena is front and center. Then he loses it because on the cover of the upcoming WWE magazine is someone else from Toronto, Trish Stratus. He then tried to spear Trish Stratus, but Carlito made the save. But now it was John Cena's time to respond. He tells Edge that he was supposed to be all over the SummerSlam poster.
There we go, Carlito.
But they found out that his face actually scares children. Lita was supposed to be part of this poster, but she got a huge deal with 7-Eleven. Slurpees for herpes. I can't believe I just said that. He then proceeds to show us the first cover of CBI featuring Edge. Now it was time for the final Raw before SummerSlam, and
why aren't these things brought up? Why aren't these things brought up when they're talking about
Edge made
Cena
the
and
trek
Edge?
to West Newbury, Massachusetts, and you see this awesome video put together of Edge exploring the Cena household, going through his closet, wiping his nose with a Larry Bird jersey. Eventually, Lita and Edge find pictures of a young, invisible John Cena. And seriously, Edge's narration is hilarious. He makes fun of Cena for having the same haircut, receiving his doctorate of thugonometry, and then we see Edge meet Mr. Cena. That one Cena
That's
goes
probably the
down
most
today,
iconic thing
the other
from their
in 6 days at SummerSlam.
From their
Main
feud
event
is
time.
probably
John Cena,
slapping
Edge, WWE title,
Cena Senior in the
Boston.
face.
Edge ended up blasting John Cena in the back of the head with brass knuckles to retain his title, but we were far from finished. The next night, out comes your WWE champion, but without his crown jewel. We then find out why Edge doesn't have it in hand. Lita is stood outside with what is clearly a WWE title replica, and she throws the spinner title into the Bridgeport Harbor. This because Edge wanted to wipe the slate clean. He
I wonder if
hated
they
John
went in
Cena.
and grabbed it
He
right
hated
after.
everything that spinner title represented.
I don't know if they
He wanted
would be
any
able
trace
to,
of
but I
John
feel like
Cena
that'd be something that
permanently
WWE
erased.
does for
So how did Edge
for,
redefine the WWE title?
like their archives.
Well, it's literally the same, just with the rated R logo in the middle. This is what Edge's version of the title was supposed to look like. Regardless, later
This
in the
might have
night,
been a lot
John
better.
Cena got
It
revenge
looks
by
a little
interrupting his
bit like
match
the
against
IC
returning
title.
Jeff Hardy, and redemption
Like the
was
older
so,
IC title
so
belt,
sweet for Cena,
the white
as
strap,
this was the night
or
where
the black
Edge
strap,
went
but
for a swim
that same
in the
design.
Long Island Sound. Yet another fantastic scenery shift, adding more to the depth of this rivalry. Very visually striking. He was going to sign this and be out of Edge's life forever, but only if Edge beat him at Unforgiven. This time, the show taking place in Edge's hometown of Toronto, Canada. Also, with a special tables, ladders, and chairs twist. What I like about this is...
Now, I feel like they should be doing more stuff like this, if that makes sense. I feel like WWE now, and it's not really a problem or nothing. It just feels, I feel there's a lack of creativity. I think we hit like some sort of roadblock when Triple H first came in, and we were used to the same stuff every week. We were same to opening promo. It ends up being 3-on-3 main event. We were used to the same thing every week, and when he came in, it was real exciting with all the new faces. But also at the same time, there was a lot of unique creative stuff, like Dexter Loomis, and like the whole just. You also have to pay attention to the background because there might be stuff in the back, the Fiend, the whole Fiend vignettes and all that. I think or Bray Wyatt vignettes. I think what WWE lacks nowadays might just be the extra creativity. I think what Triple H and maybe their whole team is doing is they're more so. I'll get to it in a second. I think Triple H is I think they are lacking creativity. I think they're running a bit in which it becomes evident when you're looking at Edge versus Cena and their whole rivalry. I think what you're noticing more is just like I said, the creativity, the posters. Granted, it's a different time, and you have to be a little bit more PG now. But at the same time, we're on Netflix, right? I feel like you can be given that bit more of leeway.
Edge as the bad guy is supposed
like I said, kind of topical
He's
now.
supposed to not want to defend and not face Cena, but he hates Cena so much that he'll use Cena's own desperation against him. Before we get to our result though, Edge kicked off his Cena Gets Out of My Life Forever countdown, which was only 2 weeks away, giving us another movie trailer.
He's fearless. He's relentless. He's Canadian.
Unforgiven 2006 was a standout match because without a doubt, this is the best match that these two have ever had. This was exceptional from start to finish. There was shenanigans, violence, drama. At one point, Edge was legitimately choked out and knocked out. Memorable spots wherever you skip to. Everything you could want in a TLC match. The exclamation point coming when John Cena threw Edge off a ladder onto two tables piled below before.
That's another thing. This rivalry has a lot of iconic moments. The Cena slap,
showing that this was redemption for when Edge slapped him.
the live celebration, obviously.
Seriously,
it's iconic, even though it probably shouldn't have happened.
Everything was perfect.
Everyone involved didn't want it to happen.
2 weeks after this. But of course, John Cena again destroys Lita.
Screw you!
I don't have $10.
This led to Cena taking on Lita with one arm tied behind his back after Lita told John that she was a better wrestler than him. This was essentially the end to the rivalry for a while as DX indirectly caused Edge's steel cage match before Edge won a #1 Contenders Battle Royal and challenged Cena later in the night, only for DX to strike yet again. For a few weeks, Edge and Randy Orton had been teaming together. These two eventually came together to make Rated RKO, and this was a child's worst nightmare. Eventually, these two won the tag titles, but it was John Cena who was part of ending this reign as he and Shawn Michaels, heading into their WrestleMania 23 match, became the tag team champions.
Gotcha.
Edge and Randy Orton competed in a ladder match, while as mentioned HBK and Mr. AA competed in the main event of WrestleMania. After this, both Edge and Randy Orton wanted a piece of John Cena's WWE title heading into Backlash, a match which is one of the best in all four men's career, with Shawn Michaels also being added into the mix. Involved in this was Randy Orton, and if you survey a bunch of people on the Randy Orton and John Cena rivalry, you're going to get a variety of responses, one of which will be that it was boring and manufactured. The reason being it just happened too many times with diminishing results. Well, that's why this worked so well. They kept Cena and Edge away from each other for a while as one went on to terrorize SmackDown while John Cena continued to dominate Monday nights. This is the end to the best chapter of the Edge versus John Cena chronicle. I really hope I was able to illustrate the hatred that these two brought, because this was the peak of it. This was nostalgia hits, but now taking a look at things big picture, these two guys made each other here. We now jump 2 years ahead to a much different WWE landscape. The rawness of the Ruthless Aggression era was gone, and things were more polished, with the company not wanting to toe the line as much. It's February 15th, 2009 at the No Way Out pay-per-view. Both Edge and John Cena walked in as world champions, but only one walked out. The former losing his title to start the night, and then going on to take Kofi Kingston's spot in the chamber match before ultimately leaving Key Arena as the new World Heavyweight Champion.
Gotcha.
The following night on Raw, Edge,
see, like I said, they don't do like
R
creative
in rated
stuff
R
like
stood
this really
for
anymore.
Remarkable, resplendent, and really, really smart. Now he had Vicky Guerrero on his side to pull strings for him. In the first bit, he was using Lita, out here making out with her every week, and now he was using Vicky. Out came John Cena to tell the world that the R in rated R stood for rematch. Cena, not getting what he wanted, promised Edge that no matter what, he'd find him and he'd fight him. He cashed in his rematch the following week with Edge was in this generation. He was going to prevent him from being everything that Cena thought he was. Mr. Hustle Loyalty and still hate this. I hate the fact that these two never main evented a WrestleMania against each other. I hate that they didn't even have a WrestleMania match together.
That's nuts. And that's also another thing that you find in a lot of Cena's biggest rivalries is that he doesn't have WrestleMania matches with them. Like, it's weird. Like, doesn't have a one-on-one with Edge, doesn't have a one-on-one with Orton, doesn't have a one-on-one with Punk, or he doesn't face Punk at all at a Mania. What else? Who else? I'm sure I'm missing a couple. I mean, if you want to include Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, there's quite a few of them. Luckily, he does have a couple, you know. But still, just like all three of his top three biggest rivalries, none of them got a Mania match. It's nuts. It's kind of something to think about.
To SmackDown to once again demand his rematch. Instead, Vicky springs the Big Show onto him, a match in which Edge interfered to help the King of Turning heel pick up the win. The following Monday, Raw was in Boston, and having already beat Cena earlier in this story at the same place, Edge wanted to embarrass Cena yet again. Edge got himself DQ'd in this match by hitting John Cena with his title. Vicky Guerrero ended up introducing Big Show as the #1 contender to the title, this leading to Edge wondering why Vicky was on Show's side all of a sudden. But it's all good. Vicky said it was professional. She was still married to Edge in storyline. Big Show said the truth was that Edge wasn't a good champion, before out came John Cena with a little message. A message only Vicky Guerrero heard, and something that left her visibly rattled. Since Cena crashed the Edge and Big Show contract,
that's also something else that's cool. Is with these is, to be honest, I don't know like any of this second part of their feud.
One more member in this match, and you could see who that was, or you couldn't. The joke will never die. Cena obviously had something on Vicky that caused her to change course. Well, then he made this revelation that he loves Vicky. The Heart wanted two things: the world title and Vicky. So it looked like we had ourselves a love square, if you will. But then Cena told us what was actually up. He didn't like Vicky. Actually, the thought of her made him sick. But remember how last week's Raw was in Cena's hometown? Well, he knew a couple guys who had ins here and there, particularly the security guard. Cena then rolls a video showing that while Edge was in the shower, Big Show came into the locker room and her and Vicky talked about the animalistic urges they had for each other before the two shared a kiss, followed by Vicky telling Big Show that she hopes he wins at WrestleMania. Look at the look at this man. This time it was Edge being outsmarted and being betrayed by others, so it was John Cena who manipulated his way into a title match. But leave it up to Edge to continue to be a sleazeball. Even though he didn't care for Vicky, he still made it abundantly clear that he did care. Knowing that her power was the ticket to remaining at the top, it was actually both these guys trying to bamboozle Vicky, with this love triangle being at the forefront of things. Vicky eventually asked both of them to shake hands and form a truce, to which John Cena basically went, after all of that, you guys are going to pretend like nothing happened. Basically coming in to mix things up and kind of being the mastermind behind this whole thing. Then making the joke that we were going to get a fight at WrestleMania for Vicky's affection. I literally wonder what he would have said if this was a few years earlier and the WWE wasn't PG. So John Cena accomplishes what he set out to do, and that's create dissension.
It's probably
Vicky
a good thing
then takes a bunch of
PG.
bumps after showing Edge
Only because
fighting.
you had to nerf Cena in some way. You had to nerf him a little bit.
A get well soon card showing us fusions of what her babies would look like with each man, before finally admitting that WrestleMania was so important that he had to resort to blackmail. Edge on the Go Home SmackDown delivered a fantastic straight-to-camera promo talking about how much the World Heavyweight Championship meant, that it was everything to him, and he couldn't and wouldn't let it go. He talked about how when he beat up John Cena on Monday, he remembered. He saw clearly, if you will. John Cena, after bringing out his army and making the entrance of a lifetime, ended up hoisting both Big Show and Edge on his shoulders before pinning Big Show to capture the world title. Big Show felt very shoehorned into here. I understand there was history, but now looking at it, heck, even looking at it at that time, I really think this should have been one-on-one, especially after
it probably
this
should have been,
happened in 2006. It was announced that Edge and John Cena would meet at Backlash in a last man standing match, that this would be Edge's last chance at getting the title back.
Could have had that at
This is
Mania.
a promo that I feel like generations to come should take notes on. This is a masterclass on how to sum up hatred for someone, how to clearly define the good guy and the bad guy while propping up the importance of the prize at the end. I wish I could play this entire segment in this video, but here's my deep look into it. Edge hosted the Cutting Edge with special guest John Cena, and Edge told Cena that he stole his life from him. He said that anything else in his life would find a way to solve itself, but without the World Heavyweight Championship, he was nothing. As long as he had the World Heavyweight Championship, he could handle the ups and downs of life, showing that that was his most valuable possession bar none. The two then sitting close up to one another, John Cena running down the history of the two, asking Edge how many years have we been doing this, telling Edge that the fans knew that every time one guy did something to the other man would raise the bar, finishing off by telling Edge that he could have told the fans about what was quite possibly the greatest rivalry in sports entertainment history. But instead of highlighting the gravity of that rivalry, he chose not to acknowledge the dance that these two were caught in, but instead talk about how he stole the championship from him. If that's all he had, then Cena was done. And that reminder set off a switch within Edge. He was telling the truth about the world title, but he simply also tells John that he hates him. He hated John. He hated his hat. He hated his shirt. He hated his wristbands.
Famous line.
He hated his
Famous
shoes,
promo.
his music. He hated the C Nation. He hated everything that John Cena stood for. And that right there, that is why this was so damn brilliant. The character of Edge telling Cena that he despised everything about him, telling Cena that it's exhausted the both of them, that it's shortened both their careers, and that this was going to end. Cena denies this, and he admits the faults of the Cena character by telling Edge that yes, he may be a better wrestler, he may be smarter, he may know how to use his resources better, but John Cena knew he was desperate. He knew his power was just that, being the guy who could absorb the most punishment and never quit, knowing in his heart of hearts that he was tougher than Edge, and Edge also knew that. He told Edge that he would be the last man standing. And that right there was why Edge hated John Cena. Edge did all of this crazy nonsense. Edge used everyone in his path to manipulate because he knew Cena could simply take more punishment. This whole rivalry, everything they done to one another, the manipulation was because Edge knew that he needed to manipulate. If he didn't, the resolve of John Cena was just too much. It wasn't anything that he had just mentioned. Not the hat, not the wristbands, not the t-shirt. It's the truth. Edge hated John Cena because he thought of every time he gave his all to Cena, but it wasn't good enough. He simply tells Edge, if you hate me so bad, and if it has to come to an end, end it. End it right now. He points right between the middle of his eyes and tells him to end it. And here's where I think there's a deeper meaning to the character of Edge. A deeply conniving heel who did everything in his power to outsmart Cena. But seeing Cena fired up, seeing his enemy on the other end, he doesn't hit Cena. After Cena implores him to clench his fist and hit him, he stares down his mortal enemy and knows what John Cena has said is completely true. Edge knows that when there's no cheating or underhanded tactics, when John Cena is ready, Edge stands no chance. And that right there is one of the most underappreciated, misunderstood, and defining promos of all time. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it, probably, but this was 10 out of 10. In the lead up to Backlash, Edge attacked Cena from behind, proving Cena's point in this promo true. Even going on to hit John Cena with a concerto, becoming obsessed with him. It seemed like what Cena said on that SmackDown struck a chord with Edge, with him becoming the most volatile version of himself. The Rated R Superstar had one final promo before this last encounter, and it was on this night where we found out about a hidden wound in the Rated R Superstar's career. He brought back January 8th, 2006, New Year's Revolution. The night where this dance started, and he mentioned that he won his first ever world title on that night, but John Cena came back. And since that night, he's done everything in his power to keep him down, but he still comes back. Edge admitted that he would stop at nothing to get what he wanted, and when he talked about Cena getting up over and over again, you could sense what this rivalry was really about. Edge mentioned that John Cena had the strongest resolve of anyone that he had wrestled. Edge said that he had nothing left. This was it. If he didn't beat Cena this Sunday, he had nothing. His wife Vicky couldn't help him, he had no friends, and that Sunday, everything would be laid on the line for the last time. John Cena on an episode of Superstars talked directly to Edge. He told him that they'd both manufactured each other's career, that this was the Yankees versus the Red Sox, and to sell the enormity of the match, he asked, what if the Sox and Yankees had to play just one more game? How much would they give to know on the final day they'd be victorious? That for the final time, one would walk out, knowing that at the final bell, one man would be able to tell the story because only the winner writes the history books, knowing one will be the better man, knowing at the end of the night, there will only be one last man standing. Absolutely exceptional build. This should have been the WrestleMania build. This is how you sell a final fight. My words, they don't do justice to how good this was. And that's why it's so frustrating that this didn't end with a definitive finish. Instead, it was the Big Show putting John Cena through a spotlight, with Edge taking advantage and bringing home the World Heavyweight Championship. This was their final big match. These two ended up crossing paths in multi-man matches, with their final match coming on the September 20th, 2010 episode of Monday Night Raw. Edge went on to retire in 2011 while John Cena continued to dominate the company. At one point, Cena was in a rivalry with Brock Lesnar. He was struggling to get the upper hand and getting laid out every week. He'd already lost to The Rock beforehand, and the WWE was spinning this as Cena losing his mojo. Edge came out to remind him of that cold human who was his greatest rival ever, and to wake up. The Rated R Superstar returned in 2020, and for many fans, including myself, the hope was we'd get one final chapter. One last dance with both guys now in myth territory. But they ended up missing each other multiple times over for one reason or another. John Cena will lace him up for the final time in 2025, and another deeply personal rivalry between these two will remain just a wish. This was a tale that was a masterclass. For
Still
fans like
holds.
myself, it's the greatest rivalry of all time. These two men told different stories, and in that process of telling those stories, crafted each other's legacies. They made one another, and I can't stress that enough. To see both
Yeah.
guys grow into what they did, to see the chapters they wrote, to see just how well the two gelled with each other, is something that I feel like I'm lucky to say that I witnessed. You had John Cena, who the company was pushing as the top star, meeting his Joker, meeting the man that would stoop to great lengths to get anything over him. For Cena, he needed Edge so badly to prove that he was the future and the company had made the right investment. And for Edge, he needed Cena to show his capabilities as the ultimate bad guy, helping him be in that upper echelon of WWE stars, also laying the groundwork for what the Money in the Bank concept became. Now here we are all these years later, still reliving the magic. Through all the miles, the matches, and the magnificence, we have ourselves a rivalry that truly only comes around once in a lifetime.
Video. That was a good video. 100%. I gotta give that a like. Either way, yeah, like I said, big time. It would be kind of difficult to not include Edge. Edge should have been within. Sadly, I mean WWE, I guess, didn't even reach out to Tony Khan or AEW to try making this happen. I think there should have been at least an attempt made. Edge, I don't know. That sucks. It sucks we can't get one final match. But either way, December 13th, we got 10 days. I'm streaming and recording this on the 3rd. John Cena retires in just 10 days. By the time you guys are seeing this, it might be less than a week. John Cena, the greatest of all time. This was potentially his greatest rival of all time. Thank you, Superkick Studios, for allowing me to react to your content. Either way, make sure you go down below. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Put down in the comments who you guys think John Cena's best rival really was. I mean, my personal favorite, my hold I close to my chest is John Cena versus CM Punk. But either way, make sure you're down below. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you want to react to it live with me next time, at PowerballMake on Twitch. Also, if you guys want to be in future polls about, just the future of the channel in general, the polls are on Instagram, at PowerballMake once again. But either way, have a good day, have a good night, whatever time it's for you. And goodbye.